March 5th, 2025 will mark my 3 years of being in London as an arts missionary, and that is crazy to say. I've done an incredible amount with my church, Hope and Anchor, and our partner charity One UK, but I wanted to talk more about the personal discovery that I've had during my time here, and hope that by the end of this video, you'll have a new perspective of what it looks like to do urban missions. When I tell people that I'm a missionary and that my mission field is London, it's kind of hard to grasp, and I totally understand that, given that London is one of the biggest cultural, social, and economic capitals of the world. Missions for many centuries has looked like spreading the gospel to places that are desolate of religion, people who have never even seen a Bible or even heard of the name Jesus. And I do believe that this type of missions is still relevant and very much needed. However, I've also seen how missions in an urban environment is just as important to spreading the kingdom of God. So let's get historical for a second. The Church of England was established in 1534 by Henry VIII, which officially separated England from the Catholic reign of the Pope. Basically, there is no separation of church and state in England at all. Now bear with me, because this is my little American brain trying to break down a bunch of English religious history into a couple of sentences, but come with me on this journey. Given that there is no separation of church and state, the church is everywhere, but also nowhere at the same time. You can ask any Brit on the street and they will tell you about their history with the church. It might be something like they went to a primary school or an elementary school that was a Church of England school, or that they grew up going to church but they don't really do that anymore, and that's pretty much it. So the history of the church in the United Kingdom is undeniable, and yet about 20 to 25 churches, specifically Church of England churches, close every year. And there's so many of these closed churches in the UK that they actually coined the term redundant church, which means it's not even being practiced for public worship anymore. And according to a 2021 study, only 48% of people identify as Christian in the UK, and it's even less than that at 35% in London alone. So that was a lot of facts, and I hope you didn't get lost, but there's also another aspect that I want to talk about when it comes to doing missions here in an urban environment. And this is very specific with the younger generation, and that is the topic of spirituality. So we're in a new age wave with the younger generation. So people are really leaning into their spirituality, quote unquote, discovering themselves through the means of divination and tarot cards and manifesting. And it's interesting because when we're on the streets, a lot of the conversations that we have with the younger people is things like, well, I'm not a Christian, but I am spiritual. Or I don't believe in God, but I believe in the universe. Or things like, Jesus was a cool dude. Like, he did really cool things, but that's pretty much it. Now, I know this is kind of sad to hear, but it's also opened my eyes to understand that the harvest is in fact plenty. The fact that this younger generation is searching for something so spiritual, that they're really hungry for a spiritual awakening, just means that we can give them the answer, and that answer is Jesus. So New Agers, for the most part, are all about Jesus. They just don't fully grasp his lordship, or even the fact that he loves them. And that's what we're here to bring. They genuinely can't grasp that the creator of the universe actually humbled himself enough to come down here to be fully man because he loves us, plain and simple. So this is the mission field that I was called to. And being a missionary in London, these are the people that I'm out there looking for. The people who have so much knowledge about the church, but no revelation of the relationship. The people who want to experience a spiritual awakening, but don't know that the author of the universe is knocking at the doors of their hearts. These are the people that I feel called to. These are the people I want to lead to Jesus. To pivot slightly, I have been rereading Acts and kind of rediscovering the journey that Paul and the disciples went on in the early stages of the church. And as they've been adventuring around from different nations and different places, I had a new revelation. No matter where Paul was or the disciples were, they were constantly being supported in their mission from people from many regions. Now, this support looked different. It looked like support through prayer or hospitality or through companionship and even, yes, through finances. I felt moved, honestly, because I had this revelation that the church isn't one or the other. It's a beautiful combination of both of them. It's about one, the people who are rooted in a place, locally serving, wanting to grow the church, disciple people. But then it's also the other, people who feel the need to go, who feel the call, who want to make disciples of all nations. And both of them working together, I think, is beautifully biblical. In 1 Corinthians 12, 4-6, it says that there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different ways of working, but in all of them and in everyone, it is the same God at work. It later talks about, in that same chapter, about the body, right? The many parts of the body, but how it all makes one. And it also mentions very simply the foot and the hand. And something that I really was thinking about the last time I was reading this is the idea that one has to help the other. That's what it means to be a part of the body. So let's look at it this way. Let's say my foot itches. The foot is going to call on the hand to help itch it, because the foot knows that it's not in its own capacity to itch itself. I mean, it can try, and I can kind of do that with my other foot, but it's also not what that's made for. However, the hand also has to be willing to help the foot. But the hand, knowing that it's a part of the body, and so is the foot, the bigger picture, the hand will offer its help to the foot, knowing that the whole body will feel whole afterwards. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the itch that you've given me in the past 2.5 years as doing missions here in London. But I also believe that God is not done with me here. Like I said, on March 5th, 2025 is my 3-year mark of being here, and that's also when my current visa expires. But I can reapply anytime up until then. I just need the finances. I've currently saved about half of what I need for my visa. Big shout out to everyone who's already given and sent in support. And my goal now is to get the full cost, the £4,200 that I need for my visa, by my birthday, December 2nd. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I could only give $10, like what is that gonna do? I promise you that amount, the $10, but also just your heart to even give in support, means so much. So I leave you with this video, just a little snippet of my personal revelations of what urban missions actually looks like, but also the massive call that I feel that God has over my life. I love London, and I want to see his kingdom come to this city and to this nation. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey, and I hope to chat with you real soon.